Hello everyone, so I purchased a microphone. I'm going to try to start making some videos, some more videos, some more instructional videos and things like that. So hopefully the quality is okay and you like it, but just let me know how it is in the comments, and definitely share with friends if you can, please. So today we're going to just go in and learn a beginner yoga class. So if you're watching this now, maybe you've never done yoga before, maybe you've tried yoga, you didn't like it, you want to try a different kind of yoga. The thing about yoga is there are so many different kinds. I primarily teach Ashtanga yoga. So this isn't going to be a full-on Ashtanga class. We're going to learn some beginner movements, beginner breath, and then we're going to start to ease into a very small Ashtanga practice. But for the most part, this is just going to be a nice, easy beginner yoga class. Okay, so anyone can take it. Again, let me know how it is. Let me know what you think about it. All right, so we're gonna get started. All we're going to do to start is just sit down on a yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, sit down on the floor. Doesn't matter. Okay, so it's just sitting down in a comfortable position. If this is not comfortable for you to sit like this, obviously it's not comfortable for a lot of people. You can sit on something. If you have a pillow or if you have a yoga block, that's fine too. You can sit with your legs crossed, whatever that means for you. Okay, but just wanting to be comfortable. And then just making sure that you can sit up straight. So we're not slouching down, sitting like this. What I want you to do is just try to roll your shoulders back, lift the spine up, and lift your head up, almost as if like someone has an invisible string on your head and is pulling you up to sit. Okay, so we're just going to begin by doing some breath work, which in yoga we call pranayama. So pranayama is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, so it's a very important aspect of pranayama. Just to start, all we're going to do is just try to notice the breath and just try to control the breath. Super simple. Don't worry too much about it. All I'm going to have you do now is just close your eyes. Okay, so once your eyes are closed, just begin to notice how you're breathing. If you're breathing through your mouth, just try to close the mouth and only breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So that's the first step, is just breathing through the nose and out through the nose. So in and out through the nose. Nice and simple. Now what I'd like you to do is just try to slow your breath down. So breathe in through the nose nice and slow. And breathe out through the nose nice and slow. And try to breathe in as little as possible to elongate the breath. So breathing in really slowly and trying to expand your belly and your rib cage at the same time. If it helps, you can put a hand on your stomach and a hand on your chest, but you don't have to. So breathing in slow and breathing out slow. And then trying to find a rhythm like that. You might be able to find a sound with the breath. So in Ashtanga, we call this breathing with sound. Or if you really get into it, you can call it Ujjayi Pranayama, so Ujjayi breath. It's a fierce and strong breath. So breathing in, constricting the back of the throat to make an ocean-like sound with the breath will sound something like this. And then breathing out. Again, really slow to breathe in. And slow to breathe out. Try to take a few more rounds like this. Maybe you can even make it longer and a little bit louder. Okay, so I don't want you to worry too much about the breath today, but just trying to connect your movement to the breath. Okay, that's the first part into our yoga practice. All right, so we're gonna just start by doing a little bit of movement here. If you're uncomfortable, just change the position of your feet, okay? So again, making sure that you're sitting in a comfortable seat, you're sitting up straight. We're just gonna start by warming up your wrists. So interlace your fingers and just start to move your wrists around in a circle, like this. And then going in the opposite direction. And so you can go slower with this if it was too intense on the wrist, that's fine. Okay, and then take your hands and with the fingers still interlaced, just press your hands forward so that the palms face out and lift your arms up. So getting into the shoulders here. If you can go back a little bit further, that's fine too, but just go up as far as you can, keeping the spine straight, keeping your arms straight. And then exhale, release your hands down. And we're gonna just start to connect that breath to the movement. Okay, so inhale, lift your arms up. So as you breathe in, arms reach up. As you breathe out, arms come down. Good, do that again. So as you inhale, breathe up. And as you exhale, come down. Inhale, breathing up. And exhale, coming down. One more time like that. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. So gaze or drishti is very important in yoga. It's where you're looking during your yoga practice. We're gonna do that one more time, but just trying to focus on the gaze. Okay, so as you inhale, switch your gaze up toward your palms, and then exhale, just look at them as they come down. Again, inhale, reach up, look up, and then exhale, bring the gaze down. One more time like that. Inhale, reach up, look up, and then exhale, come down. Beautiful. All right, this time as you reach your arms up, we're gonna take a side body stretch. So exhale, take your right hand to the mat and then just try to stretch your left hand up and over. Trying to keep both sits bones on the ground. If you can go a little bit deeper, you can take your elbow onto the ground, but you don't have to. Just make sure that your sits bones are on the mat and you're reaching and stretching as far as you can. Good, inhale, come back to the center. Reach the hands up, and then exhale, take your left hand down and reach up and over. Good, let's do that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, stretch. Make sure that you're not leaning in. So you wanna roll the shoulder back to try to open the chest and stretch as far as you can, like you're trying to reach for something on the opposite side of the room. Come back into the middle, reach the arms up, and then exhale, stretch. And we're gonna move into a twist. So reach the arms up. This time take your right hand behind you. Take the left hand onto your thigh or on your knee. Lengthen the spine and then twist over the shoulder. So look behind you. If you ever try to crack your back, this is kind of like that. So maybe you get a pop in the spine. It could be nice, good. Again, other side, reaching the arms up on an inhale. Exhale, twist. Stay here, one more breath, inhale. Exhale, twist. Let's do that again. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, twist. Stay here as you inhale to lengthen. Exhale to twist. Inhale, come back to the middle, reach your arms up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, twist. Good, come back into the center and then we're gonna just come onto all fours. So moving into a tabletop position. Okay, so coming into a tabletop position, just making sure that your hands are hip width distance apart and your knees are, your hands are shoulder width distance apart and your knees are about hip width distance apart. So there should be some space in between your hands and in between your knees. Okay, so setting up here, making sure that your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Making sure your fingers are spread wide. We are just going to move into what we call cat and cow pose. So on the first inhale, I want you to just tilt your hips up. So try to tilt the pelvis up and then just lift the head up. Okay, you can try to push your belly down at the same time. So inhaling there, and then on your exhale, what you want to do is try to round the spine, spread the shoulder blades, tuck your pelvis under, and drop the head down. And let's do that again. So inhale, roll the shoulders down the back, try to squeeze your shoulder blades closed, push the belly down, lift the head up. And then as you exhale, lifting the belly up into the spine and dropping the head down. And then again, pushing your belly down, rolling the shoulders down the back and lifting the head up. And then as you exhale, spreading the shoulder blades and dropping your head down. Do this a few more times. So inhale, lifting the head. This is the cow spine, and then exhale into the cat pose, so like an angry cat. A few more like this. Inhale into the cow pose. Exhale into cat. Inhale. And exhale. Now finding a neutral spine, what we're going to do is just work on our balance. So just beginner balancing pose. All I want you to do is just take your right leg and try to lift it up behind you. If it's too much, you can keep it down, but stretch it straight out behind you. See if you can take the leg parallel to the ground without lifting the hip up. So you want to press your hip down, keep your leg parallel to the ground. And now find one spot that you can gaze at and try your best to extend the opposite arm out. So the left arm comes out if the right leg is out. The leg and the arm are strong and straight, trying to get them parallel to the ground, and you're just breathing here. Good, take one more breath in. And then relax. Try to gaze at one spot in front of you. This time opposite, extend your left leg behind you. Now extend your right arm out. Good. So working on strength, trying to engage the belly at the same time. Good. Holding here. Again, the arm is strong and straight. The leg and the arm are parallel to the ground. One more breath in. And now relax. You can bring your feet together, bring the knees out a little bit wider, and see if you can sit on your ankles. If you can't sit on your ankles, that's fine, but just try to relax the head down. This is called Balasana, child's pose. So taking your head down and just relaxing, finding a few breaths here. Good, and now we're just gonna stand up. So we're gonna move into our sun salutations. All right, so coming into our sun salutations, so coming to the front of your mat, or almost the front, this is the first thing we learn in Ashtanga yoga practice, and sun salutations are actually a good thing to have memorized if you just want to get up in the morning and do a little bit of yoga, 5-10 minutes, you can do 5 or 10 sun salutations before you start your day, and that's a great practice. Okay, so just come to the front of the mat. Bring your feet together if you can. If your feet don't come together, it's fine. Just bring them as close together as you can. And then just bring your hands down next to your side. We call this samastitihi. It's the equal standing pose. Okay, gazing down toward the nose. We're going to continue to breathe that same breath we were doing before. The first inhale, you're going to reach your arms up and look up at your thumbs. So hands and head go up. And on your exhale, take your hands down next to your feet. Okay, if you can take your hands down to the ground, that's fine. If not, just stretch them as far down as possible. Okay, whatever you can do. I just want you to make sure that you're dropping your head down as well. So make sure that the head is relaxed, okay? So hands can go as far down as you can and head goes down. On the next inhale, you're gonna lift your head up. So this is Ardha Uttanasana. It's the half lift. If you need to take your hands on your shins, take your hands on your shins. On the next exhale, we'll step back into a plank position. So it's like you're moving into a push-up. So I know some of you have probably done push-ups before you've done yoga, okay? So it's the top of a push-up, finding a plank position, making sure that your hips don't sink down. Keep them lifted and keep the belly strong. If the plank is too much for you, then you can already bring the knees to the mat, that's fine. So we have two options for the next posture. The low push-up, it's called Chaturanga Dandasana. So it's actually a 4-limb staff pose. If you can't take it with the knees lifted, I'm gonna show you the first variation with the knees down. So the knees will come down And you're just going to draw your chest toward the ground with the elbows in. So your elbows will squeeze in and you can just bring your chest down. So lead with the chest, don't lead with your hips. Okay, on the next inhale, lift your chest up into a cobra pose. So you're going to stretch here. If you can, push your arms onto the mat and lift the chest up and take the head back. And then on the exhale, move through your knees, tuck your toes, lift your hips up, and walk your feet in a little bit closer toward your hands. So you're in an upside down V position called downward facing dog. So this is Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, so learning downward dog is one of the first staples in your yoga practice. So if you can't draw your heels down to the ground, just bend the knees a little bit. You want to make sure that you're pushing the weight back into your hips. Okay, so you don't want any of the weight to bear on your arms. So the head also here, try to tuck your head back behind your shoulders. And ideally you're gazing toward your belly button, but if you can't gaze toward your belly button, just look at your knees. Okay, make sure that the fingers are spread wide here. So pressing your fingers into the mat to take the weight off of your wrists. It's very important as well. And we're still breathing with sound. So we hold downward dog for about 5 breaths every time in the sun salutation. After 5 breaths, you can step to your hands. And when you get there, lift the head up halfway again. Again, you can come onto your shins if you need to. One more time, you exhale and fold. Inhale, reach the arms up. Look up at your thumbs. And then bring the hands down next to the sides for Samastitihi. Okay, we're gonna do that a little bit faster this time. I'll stick with the modifications, okay? So Ekam inhale, lift the arms up, look up. The way exhale, fold forward, take the head down. Trini inhale, lift halfway. Chatwari, step back into that plank position. And then lower into your Chaturanga. And Pancha inhale, come into the Cobra pose, lift the chest. Shat exhale, move into downward facing dog. Again, you can walk your feet in a little bit closer. Look back toward the knees. Try to bring the weight into the hips. We have 5 breaths here. 3. 2. 1. All right, step forward and lift the head up. Ashta, exhale, head down and fold. Nawa, inhale, lift the arms up, look up. Bring the hands next to the side, Samastitihi. Good. All right, so we're gonna do this. You can take that variation again with the knees down, but this time I'm gonna show you the full variation, okay? So again, you don't need to do it like this. You can always drop the knees down and drop the belly down. All right, so Ekam inhale, lift the arms up, look up. The way exhale, fold forward, take your head down. Trini inhale, lift the head up. Chatwari, step back. This time, keep your knees lifted. Bring your shoulders forward. Come halfway down for Chaturanga. Okay, if you need to come all the way down, come all the way down. Pancha inhale, you're gonna come into the tops of the feet, but this time, keep your legs lifted. This is upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Shoulders move away from the ears and head goes back. So the legs actually stay lifted the whole time. And then on your exhale, move over your toes and come into your downward facing dog. And we hold here for 5 breaths. Okay, again, that's a full variation, but you don't have to do it every time. You can take the knees down and you can take the modifications. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, so this time you can always step, so that's a good modification, but see if you can bend your knees and sit back a little bit. Push your fingertips into the mat, look forward, and see if you can take a little hop to your hands. And then when you get there, lift the head up. Ashta, exhale, head goes down, forward bend again. Nawa, inhale, arms reach up and look up. Then hands next to the side, Samastitihi. Again like that, Ekam inhale, reach up, look up. The way exhale, bend and fold. Trini inhale, lift the head up. Chatwari, exhale, step back and lower into Chaturanga. Just halfway down. Pancha, inhale, upward facing dog. And then Shat, exhale, downward facing dog. And holding here for 5 breaths. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Sapta, inhale, bend the knees. See if you can hop to your hands and lift the head up. Ashtau, exhale, forward bend, head down. Nawa, inhale, arms reach up. Samastitihi. Last time like that. Ekam, inhale, reach up, look up. Dvoye, exhale, fold forward. Trini, inhale, head lifts. Chatwari, exhale. If you'd like, you can try to jump back and lower to Chaturanga. Pancha, inhale, upward facing dog. Shat, exhale, downward facing dog. Again, just use the modifications from the first 2 rounds if you need to. Okay, so a lot of different walks in this path of yoga. Making sure you always take the modification that the body feels like it needs. Okay, look forward, bend the knees, sapta, inhale, step or jump to your hands, lift the head up. Ashto, exhale, fold. Nawa, inhale, arms stretch up. Samastitihi. Okay, so moving into the second sun salutation, Surya Namaskara B. Okay, we're gonna start, this is the same thing as A, except we just add 2 postures, okay? We add the chair pose and the warrior pose. So we'll start with Uttanasana chair pose. So you're gonna bend your knees, lift your hands up and look up at the thumbs. On the exhale, fold forward, take the head down and the hands down. So same thing as before. Inhale, lift the head up. Exhale, step back. I'll show the modification for the first one. Knees down, lower for Chaturanga, elbows in. Inhale, lift, cobra pose, or if you can, all the way up into downward facing dog. Exhale, tuck your toes and move into downward facing dog. So fingers spread wide, coming into downward facing dog. And then right away, what you're gonna do is try to take your right foot forward. If you need your hand to help you, go ahead and take your hand there. Okay, take the back heel down into the mat. Bend your front knee, lift your hands up and come into Veerabhadrasana A. This is warrior 1, so hands come together. And then on the exhale, the hands come down back to the mat and we do another Chaturanga. So you step back into Chaturanga. Again, you can always use your knees or skip a Chaturanga when you need to. Inhale to the cobra or upward dog and exhale into downward facing dog. And then this time your left foot comes forward. Use your hand if you need to. Bring the back heel to the mat. Bend the front knee, lift the hands up, and then exhale, come back down into Chaturanga. So these should move 1 breath per movement, but when you're starting out, just take as many breaths as you need to. Okay, inhale into the cobra and exhale, move into downward facing dog. So the sun salutations are the first part of our Ashtanga practice. So they're meant to just warm up the body. So if you're starting to feel sweaty or maybe just tired, that's normal and that's good. So you want the body to start to open up. And then 5 breaths in the downward dog. And then step or jump to your hands, lift your head up. Exhale, fold and bend. And then again, chair pose. Bend the knees, arms up. And then stand up, Samasthiti. So I'm gonna move a little bit faster, but you go at your own pace, okay? Ekam inhale, bend the knees, arms come up. The way, exhale, fold forward, head down. Trini, inhale, lift the head up. Chatwari, exhale, step, or you can jump back into Chaturanga. Pancha, inhale, upward dog. Shat, exhale, downward facing dog. Sapta, inhale. If you can this time, turn your left heel down first and then step the right foot forward. Bend the front knee, come up for Veerabhadrasana A. Ashta, exhale, come back down for Chaturanga. Nawa, inhale, upward facing dog. Dasha, exhale, downward facing dog. Ekadasha, take the left foot forward, bend the knee, come up. Dwadasha, exhale, come down for Chaturanga. Trayodasha, inhaling into upward facing dog. Chaturanga, exhaling into downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. 1. So as you can see, Surya Namaskara B starts to go a little bit faster, 1 breath per movement. But if you're not ready for that yet, just take your time. 4. And 5. Good. Panchadasha, jump or step to your hands, lift the head up. Shodasha, exhale, fold. Saptadasha, bend the knees, arms up. Stand up, Samasthiti. We're just gonna do 1 more today, okay? Ekam, inhale, bend your knees, hands up. The way, exhale, fold forward. Trini, inhale, lift the head up. Chatwari, exhale, step or jump back to Chaturanga. Pancha, inhale, upward facing dog. Shat, exhale, downward facing dog. Sapta, inhale, right foot forward, come up. Ashta, exhale, come down for Chaturanga. Nawa, inhale, upward facing dog. Dasha, exhale, downward facing dog. Ekadasha, take the left foot forward, come up. Dwadasha, exhale, come down for Chaturanga. Trayodasha, inhale, upward facing dog. Chaturanga, exhale for downward facing dog. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Panchadasha, jump to your hands, lift your head up. Shodasha, exhale, fold. Saptadasha, bend the knees, hands up. And then come into Samasthiti. Good, okay, so if that was enough for you, you can just stop here. You can go back and repeat the sun salutations, okay? So just going through the sun salutations, maybe a few times a week just to start, is a perfect way to learn how to do yoga, okay? If you'd like to keep going, we're gonna learn the standing poses in Ashtanga. So the first one is Parangustasana. So what you're gonna do is take your feet hip-width distance apart. With your first 2 fingers, reach down and wrap your fingers around the big toes with your palms facing in. Take an inhale here and lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, bend your elbows and try to take your head down. So if you need to bend the knees, that's fine. But over time, you're gonna try to straighten your legs and draw your chest toward your thighs. But just go as far as you can do today. And we continue that breath here for 5 breaths. So in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, inhale, lengthen the spine and lift the head. Now we're gonna come into Padahastasana. So for Padahastasana, take your feet on top of your hands. So step onto your palms essentially. Try to take your toes up to the wrist creases. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, bend the elbows and fold. Do the same thing here. If you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. Okay, if not, you can keep the legs straight and draw your chest toward your thighs. Hold 5 breaths. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Good. Inhale, lift the head up. And then as you exhale, you're going to take your hands onto your hips and stand up on an inhale. Take the feet together for Samasthiti and hands next to the side. Moving into triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana. So ekam inhale, step the right foot out. You're going to turn your left toes in and your right toes out. And then trying to keep your left hip stacked over your right hip, you're going to reach as far down as you can, maybe just to your leg, or maybe you can take your hands all the way down and wrap your first 2 fingers around your big toe. Now for Trikonasana, you want to just make sure that you're not bearing any weight on this hand. Okay, so putting the hand down and putting the weight there, that's not what you want to do. You want to try to lift up from the stomach. So if you need to take your hand in front of your shin, that's fine. Okay, you should feel like you're holding yourself up with the center here. Okay, so again, don't put any weight on that hand. If you can grab the foot, grab the foot. Try to push the toe down, but lift up the hand at the same time. And then bringing the gaze up toward your left hand. So it's the Hasta Drishti, trying to keep your hands stacked over your shoulders. So the left hand is directly over the left shoulder, which is over the other shoulder. Then we have 5 breaths here. So about 3 more here. 3, 2, and 1. On the next inhale, lift up from the center, keep the arms out straight, turn your right toes in and your left toes out, and then reach and grab your left big toe. So same thing here. If you can't do that, you can come up, but just trying to keep everything strong and straight and stacked. So the legs are strong here, everything is working, breathing through the center, looking up toward that hand. It's the Hasta Drishti. Breathing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Inhale, come up. So B, we're going to pivot your feet. So take your left toes in and your right toes out. You're going to turn your hips to face the back of the mat. This time we're going to take the opposite hand down. So the left hand will come down. So go as far down as you can. If you can't touch the floor, just take the hand onto your shin, and you're going to try your best to twist the chest open and look up at that right hand. Okay, but if you can, take your left hand down. You can bear a little bit of weight on the hand this time. Turn the chest open and look up at your hand. Okay, the next step would be to cross your left hand over your right foot. Make sure the hips are squared, so draw your left hip back, twist from the chest, and look up to your right hand. Good, and we have 5 breaths here. Breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, inhaling to come up, pivot the feet forward, square the hips to the front, and then exhale, come down. So take that right hand on the outside of the left foot. Again, if you can't go down, hand can come on the shin, and you can just try to twist like this. Okay, I know this pose is very extremely difficult at the start. Okay. Twist from the chest and look open. Look up. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, one. Good. Inhale, come up, take the arms out, and then exhale, come forward to the front of the mat into Samastitihi. Okay, next is Utthita Parshvakonasana. So extended side angle, taking your right foot out, this time wider stance. Pivot your feet so that the right knee bends over the right ankle. Okay, to start, if you need to take your forearm on your thigh, take your forearm on your thigh and just reach this left arm up and forward. If you can go a little bit further, if it feels good to get into that hip opener, take your right hand onto the outside of the right foot and try to stretch and reach here. Twisting from the chest and looking up. Holding here for 5. Try to make sure that that knee is going out into the armpit. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Push through the feet to come up. Pivot your feet to the left. Bend the left knee. Again, you can take the forearm to the thigh. Reach that top arm up and over. Okay, this is a perfect place to stop. Or if you can come all the way down, take your left hand on the outside of the foot, stretch up and over, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Push through the feet to come up. Okay, now we're going to pivot your feet to the back. What I want you to do is take your back knee to the mat. So you come into a lunge position. Okay, we're going to take the left elbow on the outside of the right thigh. You're going to take your hands together and just try to push the chest open. Okay, if that feels okay today, we're just going to come up onto that back leg. We're going to stop here today. If you can go a little bit deeper, you can try to twist more. We're holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Push to come up. Pivot the feet around. Okay, take the back knee onto the mat. Cross your elbow over the thigh. Take the hands together. Try to push your hands together to open the chest and look up. If that feels all right, you can take the back knee up. Twisting here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Inhale, come up, arms come out, and then exhale, come to the front of the mat for Samastitihi. Okay, Presarita Tanasana. So you're going to take your hands onto your hips, step the right foot out. This time, all 10 toes are going to face forward. We're going to take a breath in, and then as you exhale, take your hands onto the mat. Okay, if you can. If you can't, just relax here, try to take the head down, and that's going to be the first step today. But if it feels okay, you can walk your hands underneath your feet and try your best to push your head into the center of the mat, just making sure that your heels are going out slightly and the toes are all facing forward. Like eventually we can stretch back and take the head down. But for today, just going as far forward as you can here. Good. On the inhale, lift the head up. Exhale, bring your hands on your hips. Inhale, come up. And then exhale. So we have 4 of these. B is next. Ekam inhale, reach the arms out. Doi exhale, bring the hands on the hips. Trini inhale here. Exhale, keep your hands on your hips this time and just stretch your head down as far as you can go. Try to make sure that you're leaning forward into the balls of the feet so that you can feel the backs of the legs stretching. So you want to feel this in your hamstrings. Try to really engage the center here so that you can push your head in between the legs. And breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, come up. Good. C, inhale, ekam, stretch your arms out. This time you're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Okay, so fingers go like this. If you can't take your hands together behind your back, you can just grab a towel. You are going to stretch the arms out and then just reach them down and forward as far as you can go. Okay, maybe eventually someday going to the floor, but for now just folding as far as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, slowly coming up. And then exhaling there, the last one, you're gonna take a breath in with the hands on the hips, and then exhale this time, stretch for the big toes with your first 2 fingers. Okay, so if you can. If you can't grab your feet, just take your hands onto your ankles. If you can grab the big toes, grab the big toes. Elbows and fold. Holding here for 5. 2, and 1. Good. Stretch the arms out, lift the head, and then exhale, bring the hands on the hips. Inhale, come up. And then you're gonna come to the front of the mat into Samastitihi. We're gonna do one more standing posture, okay? So this time you're gonna take your hands behind your back. So you can either just press your knuckles behind your back like this. Okay, eventually we're gonna try to put the palms together. Okay, but you don't have to do that today. So I'll just show the modifications. So just taking the knuckles together. If that's too much, even just grab your wrists or your elbows. Okay, so stepping the right foot back about 3 feet, you're gonna just turn and face the back of your mat. So bring your right hip forward and your left hip back, and then as you exhale, fold forward over the leg, trying to take the head down toward the leg. Okay, so just go as far as you can go here. If this is as far as you can go, that's fine. Try to keep the weight even on both legs. So this is Parangustasana. Good. After 5 breaths, we're gonna come up, pivot the feet forward, and then just take your head down as far as you can to the leg. Good, inhaling, come up, and then exhale, come to the front of the mat in Samastitihi. Good. Before we sit down to close, we're just gonna try one standing balance. Okay, so standing balancing poses are extremely difficult when you're starting out. So if you wanna go to a wall and use the wall, you can do that. Okay, the most important thing is just to look at one gaze. So just look one place and just do your best to just stand on one leg. So no problem today if that's not working out. So just use a prop if you need to. All right, so we're just gonna start by finding a tree pose. So what you can do to start is just put your foot down next to your ankle. Okay, and then eventually you just start to bring it up a little bit higher. If you can bring it all the way up to your thigh, that's perfect. If you fall down, it's okay. Just come right back into it. So again, it can be really low. Just finding a few breaths here, balancing. Try to engage your standing leg. So try to really keep the standing leg straight. And then after about 5 breaths, we can switch sides, trying to come into that other foot. And maybe go a little bit higher. If this is easy for you, then that's good. Then maybe you're ready to do one of the other videos, maybe the half primary video you're ready for. Okay, so this is just trying to find a little bit of balance here. Good, and then just relax. And we're just gonna sit down from here onto the mat. Okay, so basically we just learned the standing poses in the Ashtanga series, which are very difficult to do. Takes a lot of practice, but just practicing those for a month or so would really help any yoga practice. All right, so just to finish, we're gonna sit seated, take a few breaths. What you're gonna do is bring your first 2 fingers together and the other fingers closed. Close the eyes and just start to breathe. So trying that same breath from the beginning, in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, and then we're just gonna finish in our final resting pose. Laying down, letting the palms float open and letting the toes float out to the sides. And just close the eyes. Try to relax the entire body. And just find stillness. You can start to wiggle your fingers and toes and deepen the breath. If you want to stay for longer, go ahead and stay for longer. Go to sleep, take a nap, that's fine. Okay, but if you're ready to come out, you can roll to the side. Push a hand into the mat and come up and come to a seated position. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching the video, giving me a chance to teach you your first, maybe one of the first of your yoga classes. As you can see, Ashtanga is not an easy practice. A lot of it kind of gets a reputation of being like this hardcore yoga practice, but really you can take it slow. You can start with sun salutations and start with breathing every day, and then just see how that goes for you, and that could be enough. So yeah, there can be a little bit for you, there can be a lot for you. Let me know your thoughts, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, thank you, and namaste.